we just got done planting Yukon Gold potatoes over here. We planted Yukon Gold potatoes for several reasons, but mostly because they're a determinant type of potato. So just like tomatoes, there's determinant and indeterminate potatoes also. So I'll show you how we planted the no-till potatoes in just a moment, and then I'll just give you a quick update of everything we got going on out here. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Chef's Harvest Farm. If you're new here, I'm Chef Mikey. I'm a former executive chef turned urban farmer, and I started out growing vegetables in my backyard, and then it's expanded onto a property here that I lease. I lease about an acre of land here on an 80-acre homestead. And the property owner lets me grow vegetables here in exchange for vegetables. I pay him in vegetables and I pay the water bill. For anybody who watched that video, this is how the garlic's doing. I'll give you some close-up shots of it here so you can check it out. Everything looks great. Just kind of waiting for it to rain, and then I'll come over here in the rain. I'm gonna hit it with some more mycogasm, and then if we just turn this way, then I've got all these beds are prepped up. So this is the winter killed cover crop. The winter didn't really kill it all the way. It killed it like mostly, right? So we threw a tarp on it at the end of winter there. It's been tarped for probably 4 weeks. We are gonna add more compost on top of it, and then that way it just makes it like nice planting beds so that we can use the Jang seeder to direct seed right into the compost that's sitting on top of it, right? All right, and then on these beds, this is where we planted the beets and carrots a few weeks ago. I planted these beets with the earthway seeder, and I asked for you guys' recommendations. So the number one recommendation that I got basically was to tape every other hole in the plate, but I did plant some at the house with that method, and it seemed to go way better. They're not germinated yet, so we'll see how they actually come out. So I appreciate all the recommendations, guys. And somebody recommended try the Haas seeder for beets, but when I can afford it, I'll definitely invest in that and give it a try. Why the heck not? I love those guys, and so yeah, definitely check out that tool. I want their wheel hoe too, for sure, so I might buy both of those tools when I can afford it. But so anyways, then since the beets were like super dense, right, I had Max come over here yesterday just with like the never sink wire weeder, and it's got like the 4-inch spacing, and she just like hoed out in between, you know, left like a cluster of beets and just hoed it out. So I'll show you what it looks like. Right, so they've just like barely sprouted. They just basically take like 3-4 weeks just to germinate this time of year. It's been like super cold too, but at least they're sprouted, right? So that means we're probably about 60 days out on them from harvest. Okay, so no-till potatoes. All right, so I kind of cut them like about 48 hours in advance, making sure that I just kind of cut them in half. I want like nice big chunks like this to produce nice big healthy plants, so there's plenty of energy. And I want each cut to have a nice big eye on it at least. You know, if they've got multiples, then that's even better. You want to cut them like a day, like I do it 2 to 3 days in advance, so I get a nice white scab over it, and this protects the potato from pathogens. If it doesn't have that scab and you just like cut them in half and plant them fresh, then there's a very good likelihood that these are just going to rot in the ground, or maybe they'll sprout, but then your plants will get diseased because they didn't have that scab over the wound, so pathogens can enter and they'll cause disease and rot in your potatoes. So I went with Yukon Gold potatoes because they're a determinant type of potato. Hey, come here, come here. Hi, hi, hi. What you guys doing? What you doing? You guys are filthy. You guys are filthy. See ya. Thanks for stopping by. So just like tomatoes can grow indeterminate, meaning they'll just keep growing, or determinate, where they put all their fruit on at once and they just grow to one size basically. Determinate potatoes are typically faster to grow also. So these only take around 60 days and they don't grow down into the ground. They grow out like this. So it works a lot better for like a no-till method because they don't require hilling. Like conventional potato farmers will continually hill their potatoes as they grow. They hill and then spuds continue to grow out the stem, you know, similar to how a tomato continues to grow and continues to produce fruit. The more you hill, the more the potato plant will continue to grow and produce more spuds. But Yukon Golds don't really benefit from that as much from what I understand. Obviously I've never tried it. These are the only methods that I use, is what I'm going to show you today. But sometimes I will just like go down and I'll probably dump like some 5-gallon buckets of compost on these just to make sure like the tops of the potatoes aren't getting hit with sunlight and turning green. But otherwise I've had outstanding results using these methods. So this plot was the how to build the ultimate no-dig garden using cover crops as a sheet mulch plot, right? So we went completely no dig when we built the plot, and we planted winter squash there because it wasn't really necessary, you know. And I've had a lot of questions like, oh, do you do that every year? So no, I don't. I'll probably cover crop this plot again at the end of this year, so you could say like every 2 years. And really my farm's just not big enough to be able to cover crop every plot every year. But I think like, and you know, I've only been in, this is like my 2nd year on this plot, you know, so I'm still like learning how to manage it all. And then I've only been in business for 5 years, right? I started gardening about 8 years ago. You know, I think like full-time like business, this is year 5, you know, so the first few years we're definitely just trying to figure things out and only farming at my home-based property, right? So now I have a lot more space so I can incorporate a lot more cover crops. After we grew that garden and the winter squash, and we just tarped this whole plot for the rest of the summer and into the fall, and then in December we pulled that tarp back and then we just put fresh compost on top of the beds and fresh wood chips in the walkways. I guess the walkways never had wood chips before that. It was just cover crop residue. So then I came in here and we broad forked all these beds because we planted garlic here and then potatoes here. So like the completely no dig method works well for some things like squash, right? But then when I'm planting root vegetables like potatoes and garlic, you definitely need to address that compaction. You know, I don't know what would happen if I tried to plant potatoes in there without loosening the soil a little bit, but I would imagine it wouldn't be great. And I always broad fork before carrots also, but I find it's not really necessary before like radishes, beets, or those types of crops that just have like the big tap root, but otherwise the bulbs like just kind of sitting on top of the soil. But garlic, potatoes, carrots, and if I'm using the paper pot transplanter, those are like kind of the reasons why I broad fork. So you always got to take everything in context, right? Like I'm not in the business, it's not a contest to me to see who can disturb the soil the least amount, right? The goal is to build healthy soil and grow healthy crops that are gonna produce a healthy income, right? So it's all needs to be taken in context. You need to do what's best for the crop that you're currently planting. So it's not just like always no dig, always no till, right? It's whatever makes sense, right? And just always trying to be sustainable and build a healthy soil ecosystem and disturb it the least amount as possible. But sometimes you have to disturb the soil. Like you can't plant potatoes without disturbing the soil, right? So we broad forked the beds before I planted the potatoes. Then I've got like a bulb auger, and I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's made for like planting tulip bulbs, stuff like that. And I just bought it at like Home Depot or Lowe's for like 20 bucks, you know, and it's a great investment. I use it for like transplanting tomatoes, peppers too, and I'm just gonna use it to like drill a hole in the soil so I can just drop one of those potatoes right into the hole, you know. So pretty fast and efficient, and then we'll be done. So I put my 100-foot tape measure down the middle of the bed so I can just kind of estimate a hole about a foot apart on the bed. I'm going to do 2 rows down each bed.
I have an important message regarding your loan eligibility from our approval department.
After that, we just drop the potatoes in each hole and just cover it up, and that's it, and we're done. Last year we planted a boatload. Like half this field was Yukon Gold potatoes. It was crazy, but so we planted about half the amount this year because like really it just sucked to like store them all, and I make way more money off carrots and things like that. Potatoes are like sometimes known as a not that profitable crop. But for me, I mean, I charge $3 a pound, so and the yields are pretty high. Off one of these 50-foot long beds, I'm generally getting somewhere between 150 to 200 pounds per bed. So at $3 a pound, like $600 a bed, you know, so it's not bad for a direct seeded crop. It takes no maintenance, right? So I broad fork plant it and we do nothing. We just come back, pull the plant up, and the potatoes dangle there. We throw them in totes. We don't even wash them. We sell them dirty for $3 a pound to restaurants, basically. They're a pretty good seller. It's a really unique product. If you've ever worked with like super fresh potatoes, it's completely different than the store-bought potatoes. So the chefs really love them. I got a video on the channel where I made homemade potato chips with these potatoes last year, so check out that video. I'll leave a link in the description. And I think that's about all I got for you guys today. It's Saturday. I was really hoping to get all this planted today, or at least get more carrots planted. Didn't happen. I just had to get the irrigation set up first, because I can't plant that stuff if I don't got irrigation set up, because I just need the timers to go off and water spraying everywhere on that stuff. I'm not coming over here to check on it every day. So now I got the irrigation set up. Probably come back tomorrow and see if I can get that stuff planted. If not, definitely on Monday. I think that's all I got for you guys today. I really appreciate you guys being here, and looking forward to the season. Thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.